Hey everyone, got a question today from Nikki. It got me thinking a lot. He was asking why is it not absolutely pumping today? We got a storm that's going like 150 miles an hour. It's on the same track as Igor in 2010. Apparently, Igor threw a week's worth of waves out and was huge. He was saying it was even too big to surf at Sioux Pole, and that was about 150 miles an hour or so, give or take. So yeah, if the track is the same, the wind speed is about the same, why was it not absolutely firing today? All right, well, let's take a look at that. Let's compare Lee and Igor. So let's check out the area within Lee right now or yesterday that had tropical storm force winds. So everywhere in this circle right here, this outline, red outline, is where the winds were at least tropical storm force winds for Lee. If you compare that to Igor in 2010, the blue, ignore this little donut hole, that's the eye of the storm. But within this circle, blue circle, now that's everywhere you have tropical storm force winds with Igor in 2010. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Lee's half the size, about the tropical storm force winds or greater. It's about half the size of Igor. Okay, so does that tell the whole story? Well, Lee was moving at about 12 to 15 miles an hour. Igor was moving at this time, about 8 miles an hour. So Lee was moving faster. So the winds were pointing in our direction for a less amount of time. So that's always a bummer for us. But let's check out the actual wind itself, because I mean, even at 140 or 30 or 50 miles an hour, whatever it was today, you would expect some pretty big surf, much bigger than what we saw. I mean, it wasn't bad today at all. It was nice size, but it wasn't massive. Not that you'd think of a 150 mile an hour storm hanging outside. But check it out. So let's look at now the area within Lee, which is shaded red. The shaded red is where everywhere the wind speeds are at least 50 miles an hour. Now with Igor in blue, these are everywhere wind speeds are at least 50 miles an hour with Igor, obviously greater in some parts of it, right? Okay, so if I look at these, I'm still not convinced. I'm like, size, you know, my wife was telling me that size matters today, and I'm like, yeah, it is about half the size, but does that, still 150 miles an hour? So what's going on? So if you look at the actual wind field now, so check out Lee's wind field. Okay, so let's take off Igor. Now you can kind of get a sense of what was going on. Look at the circulation of the hurricane of Lee. Look where the stronger winds are. They're all up here, not necessarily within our fetch. Our fetch in Barbados, direction which winds are pointing, are kind of like right here, north, northeast, this area. And a lot of that fetch is outside the tropical storm force area. I mean, yeah, you still have some within it, don't get me wrong. Some of it's going to make its way over towards us. But in general, if you look at Igor now the fetch in Igor is great for us. We got a lot of north winds. We got a lot, northerly fetch. We got a lot of northeasterly fetch within these really strong areas of storm. So that I think that was the primary difference. Yeah, so both storms super strong. One was moving faster than the other. Lee was moving faster than the other. Doesn't really help, but I think overall it was the wind field around the area of the strongest winds, and the fetch wasn't really helping us. Now you can also look at the buoy data from today, in the past couple of days or whatever. Here's significant wave height. Now remember, significant wave height from this buoy is just the top 1/3, average 1/3, the average top 1/3 of the measured waves, right? But look at this. This is today, 1 meter, 1.25 meters. This buoy was not picking up a lot of wave activity. Even yesterday, maxed out at 1.5 meters, right? So not consistent with what you would expect with a 150-mile-an-hour storm out offshore, but it was that wind field, right? And here's the buoy right here. It's not like it's being sheltered from anything that you would expect, right? Now, sure, some places we're picking it up more than others, as you know, with the reefs. But look at the wave period. The peak wave period in the blue. It's all about, today was about 12 seconds, 11 seconds. Yesterday is about 12, 11 seconds. Also, peak wave direction. Here we go. Look at this. Yesterday, it was more north. 22 degrees, 18 degrees, 19 degrees, 17 degrees, 3 degrees, right? A lot of northerly waves yesterday. You can see that in parlors. The rip was out of control. Now today, it's more northeast. The rip was gone. Some other these easterly reefs were looking pretty good today. Mean wave direction, wind speed direction, don't care. So anyway, yeah, you get some buoy information there too that kind of backs it up. So overall, I think it was the wind field related to Lee that was kind of a limiting factor. Yeah, so hopefully that helps, and we'll wait for the next storm. Fingers crossed that everyone stays safe, but we get good waves.